Our first honoree is somebody so special to the board because she's been a member of the board for so long. You'll see a video on each of our presenters. I'd like to invite Marjorie up front to get ready with her presenter, but please watch a little something on an amazing woman, Marjorie Arons Barron.
When Marjorie Arons Barron was Margie Myers, growing up in Brighton, she never dreamed that one day she would be recognized nationally as a shaper of public opinion and exemplify the gold standard in opinion writing.
It's a goofball idea.
Arons Barron is well known for her 20 years as editorial director at WCVB TV.
This is 5 on...
She also produced and often hosted 5 on 5, then the nation's longest-running locally produced public affairs discussion program, and she has often been a commentator on local broadcast and cable stations.
Women in the church.
She worked her way up. Political editor of the Newton Times, national politics writer for the Boston Phoenix, commentator, then 10 o'clock news reporter for WGBH-TV. Associate producer of The Advocates on PBS.
Are the Republicans having a field day with Hillary Clinton's political woes? You bet they are.
As Channel 5 editorial director, no issue was too controversial for her to tackle.
Where they can find women of merit and talent.
Margie was the best at what she did.
The show would be nothing without her, and we thank her.
Thank you.
Among her many awards are 3 New England Emmys, and for 5 consecutive years, the National Award for Excellence in Television Editorials from the National Broadcast Editorial Association. The wall of her Channel 5 office was covered with tributes to her dogged fight for social justice and governmental integrity.
And the health of our environment is still vulnerable to excessive burning of fossil fuels.
Through her blog, MarjorieAronsBarron.com, she continues to speak out on matters of controversy, a steady and informed voice in an age of media disinformation.
Thank you. And here to present the award to Marjorie is a 2015 Hall of Fame inductee himself, Mr. Phil Balboni, who founded both New England Cable News and the news organization Global Post, and of course, his relationship with WCVB and Margie means a lot. Please welcome Phil.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd first like to offer my own personal congratulations to all the inductees today on this wonderful accomplishment, and I would especially like to remember Robert M. Bennett. Bob Bennett was a wonderful friend. He was a great boss. He was one of the truly great leaders of American television. A few weeks ago, when Margie and I were talking about today's introduction, she playfully reminded me that when she applied for the job of chief editorial writer at Channel 5 way back in 1978, somehow I managed to choose another candidate. And that was obviously a very big mistake on my part. But in less than a year, that person was gone. Margie joined the department, and there was no looking back. The WCVB of the 1970s and 1980s was almost an impossibly dynamic and creative place. And the station took the editorial decision-making process with great seriousness. Margie and I spent countless hours and days researching the daily editorials, writing drafts of them for the editorial board. And we had a 12-person editorial board that included the president of the station, the general manager, the chairman of the board of the parent company, then Boston Broadcasters, the treasurer of the parent company, several important shareholders, including the chairman of the editorial board, a Pulitzer Prize-winning Harvard historian who I can assure you tolerated no intellectual sloppiness. Somehow Margie and I managed not only to survive in that rarefied atmosphere, but to thrive in it. And Channel 5 editorials, as was noted in the video, went on to win a slew of regional and national awards. Another part of Margie's professional life at Channel 5 was as the producer of 5 on 5, a program that I had the honor to create, but under Margie's deft leadership, went on to become one of the longest-running political discussion programs in American broadcast history. Among its coterie of on-air panelists were an eventual U.S. Senator, presidential nominee, and Secretary of State, several members of Congress, a mayor of Boston, one of our leading U.S. historians, and so many others. Margie was truly in her element with 5 on 5, and she loved every minute of its long and distinguished history. With this induction of Margie into the Hall of Fame, we honor one of the most determined seekers of truth I have ever known. When Margie sets out to get to the bottom of an issue, you can count on the fact that she will succeed. A highly talented writer and producer, Margie has been a great friend and collaborator to so many of us here today. When Margie's on your side, you have a friend for life. Margie, you are a treasure and a hugely gifted professional. It has been a great honor to work with you and to be your friend for so many years. Please come forward to be recognized.
Wow. Thank you so much, Phil. I'm so pleased to be standing before you today. Having turned 80 this year, I think I'm pleased to be standing anywhere. You know, I think about a time when I was reporting for the Boston Phoenix and Channel 2, I still wanted to break into news at one of the 3 network affiliates here. So I applied for morning anchor at Channel 5. Phil, I don't know if you know this. News director Jim Thistle auditioned 3 of us, and he hired Ann McGrath. After some near misses, I sought the advice of Arch McDonald, the kindly dean of broadcasting in Massachusetts. He said, "Marge, I know your work in print and on television, and you're good, but I have to tell you, they're looking for someone 10 years younger with a little more pizzazz." I was 35 years old. After I scraped myself off the floor, Arch did guide me in the direction of public affairs rather than straight news, and it was sage advice. I was blessed for 20 years at Channel 5 with a position I loved, a mandate to probe any compelling issue with community effect, and the opportunity to make an impact. What better emblem of that than the sign over my desk that said, "Everyone has a right to my opinion." Of course, we had an editorial board, as you've heard Phil explain, and it was a station position, not just vanity press, but you get the idea. To be inducted with such talented individuals is jaw-dropping, and to be in this space, the same space as Bob Bennett, a giant in broadcasting, is spectacularly humbling. Bob never wanted to do the on-air presentation of editorials himself, but he valued them so much that he sent me out to Los Angeles to set up an editorial department at Metromedia's station out there. I'm honored to be introduced by my dear friend Phil Balboni, who decided to hire me finally, as you heard, and was the model for solid, fact-based opinion writing to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. General managers Jim Coppersmith and Paula Camera supported the editorial process, sharing with me on-air presentation and fielding the occasional viewer outrage from everyone from Pixie Palladino to John Silber to George H.W. Bush. I'd also like to give a lot of credit to current Channel 5 GM Bill Fine for continuing to editorialize when so many others have given it up. People need informed opinion to guide them through today's chaos. I also, as you've heard, had the pleasure of producing and often hosting 5 on 5, and after I left the station, I sometimes went back as a panelist to join the ranks of regulars who, over time, included John Kerry, Doris Kearns Goodwin, Boston Mayor John Collins, Avi Nelson, and Hubie Jones, who are here today, and I hope someone is keeping them apart. Micho Spring and WBZ talk show host David Brodnoy, who saw Paul Sullivan on our show and brought him to WBZ, and I know he's missed both here and there. We even had Mitt Romney as a backup panelist. Does that tell you something? I couldn't possibly name all those I need to thank. My husband, Jim Barron, a plug is coming, whose new book, The Greek Connection, will be distributed by Random House on May 19th. He's been my inspiration and sounding board since we shared a byline for the Phoenix in the 1970s. My kids, Daniel and Ted Arons, who've had to put up with me for so long. Just as an aside, many years ago, Ted came home from college and was sitting in the kitchen while I prepared dinner. An editorial came on, and he reached over and he turned it off. And I said, "What are you doing? Aren't you proud of your mother? Don't you hear what she has to say?" He said, "Yes and yes, but I've spent my whole life listening to you tell me what to do. I don't need to listen to you tell Greater Boston what to do." I had loving support from so many people inside the station: Candy Altman, Susan Warnick, Mary Richardson, Donna Latson-Gittins, Emily Rooney, Carol Bowling-Fulp, and also Karen Holmes-Ward. Whenever more than two of us were spotted coming out of the elevator together on the second floor, the general manager at that time could, at any moment, pop out of his office and look at us nervously, probably wondering what this cabal of women was conjuring up. Our final product was never really revolution. It was enduring friendship. And for that, I will be forever grateful, as I will be for this outstanding honor. I'm deeply touched, and thank you all very much.